The 2025 NFL offseason had it all.
Aaron Rodgers is finally heading to Pittsburgh.
With the 2025 NFL campaign fast approaching, how about we enter report card season and grade the 20 biggest moves of the offseason? Steelers signing Aaron Rodgers? A. From a pure football standpoint, this was a brilliant move by the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers haven't had an above-average QB since Ben Roethlisberger's last healthy year in 2018. They went to the playoffs in 2023 with a joint QB room of Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, and Mitch Trubisky. They went to the playoffs in 2024 with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields combining for 21 touchdown passes. And on a lousy Jets team last year, Rodgers threw for 3,897 yards and 28 touchdowns. The Steelers will most certainly welcome similar production, especially with the defense doing most of the heavy lifting anyway. If Rodgers plays a game manager role, the Steelers will be title contenders. Jaguars trade up for Travis Hunter, B+. Just when everyone assumed that the Cleveland Browns would take the two-way phenom with the number 2 pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars submitted an offer that GM Andrew Berry just couldn't refuse. It is a lot for the Jaguars to give up, yes, but it is hard not to get excited about an offense featuring Trevor Lawrence, the Heisman Trophy winner, and rising superstar Brian Thomas Jr., along with new head coach Liam Cohen calling the shots. Titans take Cam Ward first overall. A. The 2025 NFL Draft was not exactly deep for QB prospects, but Ward is a compelling dual-threat talent who's drawn comparisons to Jaden Daniels. And we saw how JD fared last year. Ultimately, Tennessee had to take a QB. Nobody moves the needle more than a signal caller. Yeah, it'll take time to build a winner around him, but Ward at least gives Titans fans reason for long-term optimism after a third straight losing season. The Steelers pull off blockbuster for DK Metcalf. A. 3 months before Rodgers came aboard, the Steelers secured a new number 1 receiver by acquiring DK Metcalf from the Seattle Seahawks for a 2025 second-round pick and a swap of late-round selections. Metcalf then signed a 4-year extension worth $132 million. Metcalf is still in his prime at age 27 and should do wonders with Rodgers throwing him the football. He's a safe bet for 1,000 yards when healthy, and he'll be a greater impact player than George Pickkins, who never truly filled that number 1 receiver role. Seahawks swap Gino Smith for Sam Darnold. B. We'll pair the two separate moves into 1 year. Gino Smith turned down a contract extension from Seattle and requested a trade, a tidbit that wasn't revealed until after he was sent to the Las Vegas Raiders. Seattle got the number 92 pick in exchange for Smith, which they used on Alabama QB Jalen Milroe. After trading Smith, the Seahawks picked up Darnold on a 3-year deal worth $100.5 million. It's a calculated risk for a QB with 1 great season under his belt, considering how much star power Darnold had in Minnesota. But if Seattle could turn a journeyman backup like Smith into a Pro Bowler, we're sure they'll get enough out of Darnold. Patriots signed Milton Williams for $104 million. B-. A 4-year deal worth $104 million, including $63 million in guarantees. That's a ton of cash for a player with 11.5 sacks in 4 seasons. But Williams' elite performance in the Philadelphia Eagles, dominance of the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl 59, showed that he has the ability to take over a game at any given moment. And at the end of the day, the New England Patriots had a lot of money to spend. So, we condone the risk here. Vikings sign interior offensive linemen Will Fries and Ryan Kelly. A. After getting crushed by the Los Angeles Rams in the wildcard round, the Vikings moved quickly to bolster their pass protection. 4-time Pro Bowl center Ryan Kelly was handed a 2-year deal worth a modest $18 million, while standout guard Will Fries signed a lucrative 5-year deal worth $88 million. Brian O'Neill and Christian Darrisaw are already as good a bookend tandem as it gets. If both come as advertised, then Minnesota could very well have football's best offensive line in 2025. Commanders snag Deebo Samuel from 49ers. A. If the Washington Commanders offense had one weakness last season, it was the lack of a number 2 receiver to complement Terry McLaurin. Well, problem solved, as the Commanders got Deebo Samuel from the San Francisco 49ers for the laughably low price of a 2025 5th-round pick. Samuel has not even come close to the All-Pro numbers that he put up in 2021 when he racked up 1,770 yards of offense. However, he is a consistent threat for 1K yards and should be a fun weapon in the Daniels and McLaurin-led offense. Bears pick up Joe Tuni, A+. The Bears signed Drew Dalman and traded for Jonah Jackson to bolster their woeful O-line, but the acquisition of ex-Kansas City Chiefs star Joe Tuni was really the best move by GM Ryan Poles. The 4-time Super Bowl champion was acquired for the low price of a 2026 4th-round pick. What a deal to secure an All-Pro guard for QB Caleb Williams, who should truly pop off with 3 new starters on the O-line. Seahawks bring Cooper Kupp home, C-. After terrifying the Seahawks for 8 seasons, Kupp signed a 3-year deal worth $45 million with his home state team. game. Yeah, sure, it's a nice sentimental story, but the dollars in contract length just don't make any sense. Look, Kupp is 32 and has missed 18 games over the last 3 years. If they think that he can replace DK Metcalf's production, well, they're setting themselves up for some big disappointment. Way too much money for an injury-prone receiver at his age. Just saying. Cardinals signed Josh Sweat. Hey. After helping the Eagles to a Super Bowl championship, Sweat cashed in and signed a 4-year deal worth $76.4 million with the Arizona Cardinals. Sweat has posted 6+ sacks in 5 consecutive years and had 8 in 16 games last season. The Cardinals haven't had an elite pass rusher since Chandler Jones left in 2022, so signing Sweat was necessary as a way to rebuild their weak front seven. Giants trade up for Jackson Dart. C+. After signing Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston as bridge QB options, the New York Giants acquired the number 26 pick from the Houston Texans in exchange for the 34th and 99 picks plus a 2026 third-rounder. That's a lot to give up for a talented but unproven quarterback, but hey, you also miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Bills signed Joey Bosa. Hey. After he was cut by the Los Angeles Chargers, Bosa signed a 1-year deal with the Buffalo Bills worth $12.6 million. We know Bosa has a very long injury history, but this could be the steal of 2025 free agency if he stays healthy. Packers sign Aaron Banks. B. The Green Bay Packers don't usually go crazy in free agency, but perhaps the home run signing of Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney from a year ago convinced them to find another big fish this year. Ex-49ers guard Aaron Banks joins the Pack on a 4-year deal worth $77 million. Banks allowed just 1 sack last year per Pro Football Focus. His main strength is run blocking, so that'll be welcomed with open arms by Mr. Jacobs. Vikings double dip on the D-line. A. As if bolstering the O-line wasn't enough of a big deal, the Vikings added 2 stud defensive linemen in Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave to 3-year $51 million and 2-year $30 million packs respectively. You just can't have too many stud pass rushers in today's NFL. Then the Vikings just got 2 of the league's best interior defensive linemen on reasonable deals to complement the pass rushing tandem of Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel. Cowboys make all-in move for George Pickkins. B+. Say what you want about Jerry Jones' failure to live up to the all-in promise from a year ago, but the Pickkins move was a tidy piece of work by the Dallas Cowboys owner. Dallas got the polarizing wide receiver and a 2027 6th-round pick from Pittsburgh in exchange for 3rd and 5th-round picks. And just like that, the Cowboys finally have their number 2 receiver to complement CeeDee Lamb. Jets signed Justin Fields to replace Aaron Rodgers. B. So, after releasing Rodgers, the Jets signed ex-Steeler Justin Fields to a 2-year deal worth $40 million. It was the next big move in Operation Clean House for the Jets, who have a new GM head coach tandem in Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn. Fields showed flashes in the 6 games that he started for Pittsburgh last year. The Jets are a QB graveyard, but we're optimistic that Fields can get something going in their revamped offense, especially if Glenn proves to be the culture-building head coach that this team envisioned. A 2-year deal at $20 million annually is a good deal for a starting QB in this day and age, too. Commanders acquire Larmy Tonsil from Texans. A. In a real blockbuster trade stunner, the Washington Commanders acquired 5-time Pro Bowl offensive tackle Larmy Tonsil and a 4th-round pick from the Houston Texans in exchange for 2025 3rd and 7th-round picks, plus 2026 2nd and 4th-round picks. Love it for Washington. They went to the NFC title game last year with a mediocre offensive line, and now they have one of football's premier tackles to protect Jaden Daniels. Patriots signed Stefon Diggs. B+. The Pats continued their free agent shopping spree by signing the veteran receiver to a 3-year deal worth $63.5 million. That's a lot of money for another so-called diva who is now 31 and coming off a season-ending ACL tear. But again, New England had the money to spend, and they haven't exactly had a 1,000-yard receiver since like Julian Edelman in 2019. The Pats had to load up for Drake May, so why not the chance on Diggs returning to his all-world form? Rams signed Vonte Adams. A+. After his release from the Jets, Adam returned to the NFC and signed a 2-year deal with the Los Angeles Rams worth $44 million. That's a fair term for a 6-time Pro Bowler who turns 33 at the end of the year. Adams had 67 receptions for 854 yards and 7 touchdowns in 11 games with the Jets, a pace of over 1,300 yards in a full season. Puka Nacua is the Rams' top receiver, but Adams will be an upgrade over the injury-prone and past his prime Cooper Kupp. who was cut in a cap-saving move. The Rams are an annual Super Bowl contender with Sean McVay calling the shots, and Adams feels like the final piece needed that could get this team over the top once again. But what do you think was the best move of the 2025 NFL offseason? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, then hey, clicking that like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.